Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Kashif Kamran, SBL expert tutor, and welcome you to the SBL webinar to success for December 2025 exam, the day 2. Now, just before we move on to the day 2 agenda, let's look into the agenda of this webinar and do a quick recap of the day 1 and then start on with day 2. In terms of the agenda, yesterday on day 1, I focused on is model the best answer, and I tried giving you a reply to that, looking into the September-December examiner report, September-December 24 examiner report, and the March-June 25 examiner report, and then shared with you some important models and theories. Now, on the day 2 today, I'll be looking at the significance and the importance of the reading and planning time in SBL and what sort of things we need to do inside the reading and planning time to excel. Let's open up the day 2. The question for the day 2 is, does reading and planning time really boost the quality of the answer you will be writing? And the answer is yes. What I believe is that either the students are unaware of what exactly they need to do inside the reading and planning time, or they are unaware of how much time they should allocate to reading and planning. Now, because I teach the theoretical papers, I teach the AA, AAA, and SPL, and I always tell my student that 1/4 of the total exam time is for reading and planning, and 3/4 of the exam time is to write. And that's the rule of thumb. 1/4 to read and plan, and that investment of 1/4 is really critical because that will help you produce a good answer. And I'll be demonstrating. And 3/4 is to write. Now that means the quarter of the exam time is to read and plan. Now you have 195 minutes. That's the total exam time you have for SBL. And of that 195 minutes, you will be allocating 49 minutes to read and plan. Now that is important. For example, you're looking at a task 1 in the paper, which is of 30 marks. You will multiply those 30 marks with 1.95 minutes per mark because you have total 195 minutes and you have a total of 100 marks. So that's a simple mathematics, 1.95 minutes per mark. You multiply that by 30. The total time you will get is 59 minutes for a total 30 marks requirement. Of that 59 minutes, the quarter of the time is to read and plan, and then 3/4 of the time is to write. So 59 minutes, and the quarter of that is 15 minutes. So 15 minutes you have is to read and plan the task number 1. Now, what exactly you are doing in reading and planning time, what exactly you are doing in that quarter of the time you have for the task number 1, I will be illustrating that and demonstrating that shortly. Number 1, you will be reading the task. That's very important. You need to know what you need to do, what professional skills you need to demonstrate, and what are technical marks. Reading the relevant exhibit. Then you have to read the relevant exhibit. You need to identify the information from the relevant exhibit which connects with your task. And finally, you need to copy paste the key points in the response window. These are 3 actions which you're taking in the quarter of the time you have for the task number 1, for example. Right? So task number 1 has total of 30 marks, of which, total of 59 marks, and of which 15 is to read and plan. Now, what are you doing in 15 minutes? Reading of the task, reading of the relevant exhibit, and copy pasting key points from the relevant exhibit into your response window. Let's take an example. If I do one example with you from a more latest paper, September-December 24 exam paper, you can see that right in front of your screen now. This is the September-December 24 exam, which was around Biago. This is the task number 1 on your screen, which is for 24 marks. So you will just multiply that with 1.95 minutes per task, and that would roughly be 47 minutes. Of that 47 minutes, the quarter of that 47 minutes, which is roughly 12 minutes, will be allocated to reading and planning, and then you will have 35 minutes to write. So let's see what we need to do in 12 minutes. Now, because you're opening the task one, you already have a familiarity with pre-seen. You know Biago. You must have read it before you enter the exam hall. Now, the very one thing you need to see before you open the task one is to see who you are. You are a senior business analyst working in the finance department of Biago, reporting directly to the CFO. So I should know my role before I open the task number one, because that is the role I will be playing throughout the paper. So I am a senior business analyst. That's one thing I should be knowing from this window. Rest, I'm fine. I'll go to my task number one. I have 12 minutes, of which I read I am a senior business analyst. I open up the task number one and I'll see what I need to do in the task number one and simultaneously keep my response window open, which is the word processor. And if I need to copy paste something, I'll immediately copy paste that in my response window. Okay. Biago Board of Directors is about to meet to discuss its current service portfolio and how it should be managed. In advance of the meeting, in advance of the meeting, the Chief Marketing Officer has sent the members of the board the current service portfolio information. And if you look at your screen on the left, you can see there is an exhibit with the name of portfolio information. So the answer of your task number one will directly come from exhibit number one. So you only need to read the exhibit number one to formulate your answer for this 24 marks. So the Chief Marketing Officer has sent members of the board the current service portfolio information compiled by the marketing department, which is on the left. The Chief Finance Officer has asked for your assistance. Now, you know you are a senior business analyst, so he has asked for your assistance in preparing for this board meeting. So he has asked your assistance for preparing for this board meeting. Prepare a report for the CFO. So this report is for the CFO, which assess Biago current service portfolio to determine appropriate strategy to manage the portfolio effectively. So you need to assess the current service portfolio and you need to determine what is an appropriate strategy for each of the service in the portfolio moving forward. And you have 20 marks. Professional marks are available for demonstrating analysis skill in considering and reflecting on the information provided by the marketing department to how Biago could manage its service portfolio effectively. So any student who answers how should Biago manage its portfolio effectively, if you give a suggestion, so you will look at the service portfolio, and for every service in the portfolio, you need to give an advice, you need to give a suggestion that how should Biago manage it more effectively in future. And for that, you will take on 4 professional skill marks around analysis. So let's open up the response option. We need to write a report, and that's what we need to do for 20 marks. I copy paste this requirement on my Word response area. You can later delete it once you're done with the task. I'm just keeping it here so I know I need to write a report. So I'll quickly formulate my report, and I have 20 marks, which I need to allocate. So I'll put the heading report to, from, date, subject. So I'll just put my structure ready in the reading and planning time. I know the report starts with introduction. Then I have the main body of the report, and the report has to end with some sort of a conclusion or some sort of a recommendation. So it's to the CFO. That's what they're telling me, and it's from me, which is the senior business analyst. That's what I have read. Senior business analyst, and the date I will check on that. Else I can just put cross over here. And the subject is on the current service portfolio. Current service portfolio, that's what I'm answering, and introduction. The introduction should just be 2 to 3 sentences max. The introduction is just telling the purpose of writing this report. So you will just be telling what's the purpose of writing this report is. The purpose of writing this report is to evaluate the current service portfolio and to suggest the appropriate strategy for each of the service moving forward. That is it. Just 2 sentences and you wrap it up. Then you go to the main body. We'll see the main body from the portfolio information, and that's what we need to do. And we need to focus on professional skill marks along with 20, and that is to identify how Biago could manage their service portfolio effectively. So if you answer this, how Biago would manage its portfolio effectively, you will be getting 4 extra marks, which are the professional skill marks. So once you're done with the answer, you will remove all this, right? You will remove all this. Why have you copy pasted here? So that you remember what you need to do, because I'm closing the task. Now my task is here on the word processor. So I need to know what I need to do for professional skills. I need to know what I need to do for the technical marks. I'm ready. Okay, report, structured, everything ready. Now you open up the portfolio information, the exhibit number 1, and you will see, okay, in this portfolio, how many portfolios, service portfolios we have? Number 1, ride sharing, ride hailing, micro mobility, and business service. So I have 4. So I'll use them as headings. Number 1, ride sharing. So the first thing after introduction would be ride sharing, then ride hailing. So I need to evaluate the ride hailing. Then I need to evaluate the micro mobility. That's number 3. I'll just copy paste that, micro mobility. And then I have the business services. So each of the services in the portfolio have to be evaluated, and then I need to suggest the way forward to get my not just the technical marks, but professional skill marks. Just give you one example. Now you start reading ride sharing and copy paste information in the reading and planning time about ride sharing because you're evaluating this service under the portfolio and the way forward. Currently, only one in 20 of our rides is shared by customer. So 1 in 20 rides is shared, which is 2 less. Shared rides were the foundation of our business concept as an environmental sustainable transport solution. Now, when you started your business as a ride hailing company, ride sharing was the foundation of your business. So, and no business likes to exit from the foundation. You want to be with your foundation, but you want to improve it because currently 1 in 20 of our rides is shared by customer, which is too less. You need to increase that number to sustain the future. But you cannot just close ride sharing. You cannot just suggest let's close ride sharing. No, because it's foundation of your business. So shared rights were the foundation of our business concept. Control C, that's important. So when I'm suggesting the way forward, I have to keep this in mind. So I'm copy pasting some relevant information about ride sharing right over here, which will later help me develop the answer. Number 2, however, ride sharing has not been as popular as our ride hailing services in recent years. So we have to make it popular. We have to sustain it because it's the foundation of our business. So we have to give some suggestion moving forward that how can we sustain ride sharing in future? What can we do as Biago to improve it? But currently, it's not as popular as ride hailing. So ride sharing has not been as popular as ride hailing services. So that's currently the problem with ride sharing. Control C, and I'll bring it over here because I need to evaluate this portfolio. Third, market growth rate is 6%. So the growth rate of the ride sharing market is 6%, which is not very high, but we'll consider that as a low growth rate. And why are we considering this as a low growth rate? Because you're comparing the growth rate of the other services. Look at ride hailing, 11%. Look at micro mobility, 14%. Look at business service, 15. So in view of all that, this looks very low, 6% market growth rate. So the industry, the ride sharing industry or the ride sharing market is growing at 6% per year. Competition. Delhi is the main ride-sharing company in B-land and focus exclusively on the ride-sharing market. So Delhi is our main competitor here. is environmental sustainability and has been very popular with customers age 18 to 24. We need to see what is Delhi doing, because if I need to advise something to Biago, I need to see what the competitor is doing. The competitor is more popular in 18 to 24 bracket and retired customers over age 65. So I probably need to focus on that demographics to survive. I need to focus more on 18 to 24. I need to focus more on 65 to survive, because that's what Delhi is doing and going good. Zenbi still offer ride sharing as a service, but like Biago, it has become less popular. So probably I'm not looking at Zenbi as my benchmark competitor. I'm looking at Delhi as my benchmark competitor, because that company is going good. And that company is going good within 18 to 24 demographics and 65 demographics. Current market shares, Delhi is 38, so I need to look at Delhi, and Biago is 20. Though Zembi is 30, but it's going down. So as Biago to survive and as Biago to lead this market in the next 3 to 4 years, being the foundation of the business, I think they need to look at Delhi model. They need to look what Delhi is doing and what can they get from Delhi into their policies and make a better ride sharing model. So Delhi is the main ride-sharing company. So I need to see that when I'm devising a strategy. And Delhi market share is 38%, and Biago current market share is just uh, 20%, which is quite low, even lower than Zenbi, right? Zenbi is still at 30. So I'm at number three position in this market, which is quite struggling. Uh, Sorry, this Delhi is very popular among 18 to 24 and 65. So that's where I need to focus on moving forward. Control C, and I bring it down here, Control V. That's where Delhi is going good. So when I advise, I will be giving this as an advice. Now you copy paste. Same way you copy paste ride hailing, same way you copy paste micro mobility, same way you copy paste business services, and you have a 12 minutes of reading and planning time in which you need to see who you are. Then you quickly jump to the task number one, see what you need to do, which exhibit to connect the task number one. Because when you were reading through the task number one, you got to know about a service portfolio. You look at on the left and you saw there was an exhibit service portfolio. You read the requirement, you read the professional marks, you copy pasted them to the response window, and then you started opening the exhibit number one and you started reading information about each of the service. Now, once 12 minutes are over, you will have so much copy paste here, just like this as an example. And then you start converting these bullets into a proper paragraph in which you will be focusing on what Biago should do, what sort of demographics they should focus on, just like Delhi to survive. Currently, they're going down. They're at number three. How can they come to number two or number one in over the next 3 to 4 years? Because this was their foundation. If any student says we should exit from it, that is a bad strategy because it's a foundation. Now, you could do this answer with BCG as guided you on the day one of the webinar. You can do it without BCG, just like evaluating the service portfolio and suggesting a way forward. So when you're answering this question, ride sharing, you have to keep in mind two things. One, you are evaluating the service where it is at present. For example, when you're evaluating the service, uh, you're evaluating it for its present, where it is today, right? Evaluating the present in terms of the problems, issues, challenges. And then when you recommend, you will be evaluating where Biago should where Biago should take this service in future, or what Biago should do to uplift this service in future. So something like that you will think about. So you're writing two paragraphs under every service model, one about its present evaluation, one about an advice about how to manage this portfolio more effectively in future. Then you come to ride hailing, you do the same thing, micro mobility, you do the same thing, business services, you do the same thing. You have 20 marks. So that means you have 5 marks each. You have 5 marks for ride sharing. You have 5 marks for ride hailing. Now, to me, every good point is worth 2 marks. So if I'm writing under ride sharing, 5 is an odd number. So probably I'll write 3 paragraphs with each para being 2 marks. So I can I can evaluate the service, the present of the service. I can write 2 paragraphs on this, and I can write 1 paragraph on recommending the way forward. 1 para on recommending the way forward. So ideally, instead of 5, I'm focusing on 6, 2, 2, 2. And then you go to the ride hailing again, same way you do the ride hailing, micromobility and business, and you give a conclusion. In the conclusion, you can just give 2 sentences that just summing up that going forward, which of the current services Biago should be more focused at out of the 4, on which they should pay particular attention for their business to grow and prosper. Recap: 12 minutes of reading and planning time. Your first task is to read who you are. Then open up the task number 1, read what you need to do. While you're reading through this paragraph, identify which exhibit you need to read through. Look at the task, look at the technical marks, look at what you need to do for the skill, and to get these 4 skill marks, what you need to do. So read this very carefully, what you need to do, because sometimes you don't look into this very carefully. Copy paste this into your task, copy paste this in your word processor, sorry. Immediately close the task window and write a report, structure report before you start reading the portfolio information. The moment you start reading portfolio information, keep copy pasting important points under the headings, and 12 minutes up and you close it. Now you start writing in the later 35 minutes you have. So reading and planning time lays the foundation. Reading and planning time helps you understand what you need to do in terms of the technical marks and professional marks. And once you understand that, you will be able to write a good answer, because sometimes the student don't understand what they need to do, and even they fail to understand how they should demonstrate the professional skill marks. Then you go down reading the information in the exhibit, dump that information into the response window, and later use that to evaluate or develop a good answer. Now, how you take professional skill marks or how you gain on the technical marks, that's some sort of discussions coming in over this webinar, day 3, day 4, day 5. So stay tuned for that. But I hope you understand the message. Quarter of the exam time is for reading and planning. I hope you will utilize that. You will implement this when you are practicing at home ahead of the December 25 exam. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from the day 2 of this webinar.